So, Michael, for our opening to today's sports movie, Space Jam, which was at one point, of course, the highest grossing sports movie ever. Maybe it still is the case, I'm not sure. I think we should talk about some more sports, specifically football, and whether England are going to win against Italy tomorrow in the Euro 2020 final.
And the good news is, talking about that, they'll already know the result by the time this goes up. Haha, we're like idiots.
We're recording it the day before the final, and of course, this will go up the day after the final, if Michael doesn't mess up like he is prone to do sometimes. Hopefully England won't tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be coming home. Like, I don't know, like, I could be sitting back listening to this on Monday, like, oh you bet it was coming home. Or I could be like, I don't want to ever mention this match again. But let's hope it's the former, eh? Let's hope it's coming home.
No, yeah, I mean, it is nice to know that we're literally like one lucky match away from getting that. You know, the reality is we could have lost to Germany. You know, I mean, based on the fact we lost to Croatia, we could easily have lost to Denmark. And, you know, now we've got to a point where...
I think they're two different teams in two different tournaments.
Right, yes. Based on the fact we lost to one team, we could easily have lost to another. No, but the point is, you know, like we can... Well, okay, maybe I should have said... I mean, obviously I know this is even further apart, but the reality is England has lost to some teams they shouldn't have lost to in the past. Yes. But now it's like, hey, you know, genuinely, it's nothing like impossible that we could beat Italy. You know, I mean, I think some people would say they're the favourites, but yeah, I think it's really, obviously, the underdogs have won. Yeah, you know, France probably didn't expect to get beaten by Switzerland.
It's very possible. So let's say it one last time, Michael. It's coming home.
Football's coming home. It's coming.
Oh god, if we lose like 4-0, this is going to
age terribly. Yeah. But it's okay because we won't. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke. And this week we are celebrating the 25-year anniversary of the film Space Jam. So Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about the film Space Jam?
I don't know why you're saying it like that. I have no idea. But
just so people don't think it's one word.
Okay, that's great. But anyway, Space Jam, yes, the 25-year anniversary of Space Jam is this year. And of course, we are reviewing it because of the new movie starring LeBron James, Space Jam: A New Legacy, which is being released this week. So Space Jam is a 1996 American live-action animated sports comedy film directed by Joe Pytka and starring basketball player Michael Jordan. The film is based on Looney Tunes by Warner Brothers. Did you get that, Michael? Warner Brothers.
Yes.
And produced by a man called Ivan Reitman, one of the two, which, of course, we'll get onto in a bit, but it stars, like I said before, Michael Jordan, who, of course, has appeared in a couple of movies, the other one being Striptease, which we reviewed last week. That was a joke.
Yes, people need to go back and watch our Striptease review to get that reference.
Exactly. Billy West, Wayne Knight, Teresa Randall, and Danny DeVito also stars. Danny DeVito was the theme park owner, the evil theme park owner, which I did not know until I saw it on Wikipedia. It's weird, by the way, that we've done like two movies supposedly starring Michael Jordan. Well, one definitely, and one like it was a joke in a row. That is quite a weird coincidence. But anyway, Michael, the release date was November the 15th, 1996, so yeah, a little over 25 years ago. And can you tell me what the budget was for Welcome to the Space Jam?
Well, I think this would have cost quite a lot, which I always say when I underguess, but mostly because, I mean, the animation, I mean, the fact it was animated, I think would make it cost like some amount of money. And of course it has Michael Jordan in it, and presumably they had to pay Michael Jordan like, you know, like that's the main draw. And I feel like they also would have been quite confident in it. But I don't... I actually want to go for what feels like a very high number. You know what,
Michael? Just have a number in your head. I bet you're going to underguess this.
Okay, that's interesting, because I'm going for what feels like a high number. Like, genuinely, this is
You're not... I bet you're not going to get... Say
yeah,
number,
I mean, well,
you're not going to get half of what it is.
Well, I was going to guess 100 million.
Okay, no, it's 80.
Oh, good. Yeah, see?
I thought you were going to guess like 40.
I finally got over. Well, you know, genuinely, like I was thinking to myself, like, you know, I was actually thinking about guessing 82, to be honest. But yeah, like, so finally I got it over, which is the main thing.
No, I'm happy because I was like, this is a textbook, Michael. Well, you know, Michael Jordan, he'd probably cost like $50, and you know, the animation would probably be like $26. So
they do it like North Korea.
Yeah, but anyway, so $80 million dollars as a budget, which is of course quite expensive. But how much did it make at the box office, Michael?
Well, yeah, you really helped me out by saying it was the highest grossing sports movie of all time.
Oh yeah, shit, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I know, yeah, you did, yeah. But to be honest, like the thing is, it's sort of not that useful because I already knew this film was a phenomenon, so I could have guessed it would have, got quite a bit of money. And then on top of that, but the thing is, like when it comes to the sports movies thing, I don't really have any concept of how much other movies, actually made. To be honest, like when I think about like others, if you were to ask me, for example, what is the second highest grossing sports movie of all time, I really wouldn't have any idea. So I couldn't, that's a limitation, I guess. But it probably made like a lot of money. I think I'm gonna, seeing as I've already gone over once, I'm gonna be happy if I maybe go a little low. I think low, 500 million.
That is hilarious. I mean, Ian,
I was thinking my other thing was going to be 600 million, which seemed like a lot.
What did you say before about there's not many sports movies?
Okay, genuinely, like, okay, here's the thing. Like, I'm trying to, so obviously, like, I know that there are sports movies, yes. But like, the idea of like another sports movie being a massive box office success is something which genuinely I'm not really aware of. Like, when I think about like sports movies that we've reviewed, like for example, let's say Any Given Sunday, I don't imagine that film did super well.
Okay,
like yeah,
exactly. So the box office is 250.
Okay, yeah. So basically that's
well,
the joke.
Thing. Yeah. I don't know why you were so like, oh yeah, it's the highest grossing sports movie all time, and you acknowledge it. But there's not many sports movies like Any Given Sunday, for instance. It wouldn't do that well. So I don't know why you went so high with it.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
yeah.
I mean, 250 is still like a very decent amount to gross for this. Like that's over 3 times what its budget was. But yeah, I don't know. But
to be honest, 250. That actually like, and this is crazy me saying that actually seems kind of low because I was thinking like it would make. Just based on the fact that it is like a big phenomenon, and also that's like a kids movie, so it's kind of like kids would be like, let's go watch it, and like then obviously the problem is if kids go to watch it, all of the parents have to go. Well, at least
I don't know if it's a phenomenon. Like I think it's a very famous movie because it's so weird and it's got Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure if it's like a phenomenon, and it's certainly judging by like the box office, I don't think that is the case. But anyway. I just love how you get so much for it when you had no real reason to. But thanks anyway, Michael. I guess it's
the
nice
thing is I probably wouldn't have done that if you hadn't have said that it was the highest grossing. Because the thing is in my head, like the thing is okay with the highest grossing. The problem is I was thinking like there's probably like even though I can't think of any like sports movies that would have grossed large amounts of money, there probably are some that have. That was I guess the problem is I was doubting myself. I was thinking, there's probably like a sports movie that has grossed like quite a large amount of money that I just can't think of. If you can't
think of one, it's I mean I know you're not into sports as much as me, but like I can't really think of. I mean, it says
what do you think? What do you think is? Because I said like I probably couldn't name the second highest. What do you think?
I'm thinking Remember the Titans, but I don't know how much money that made at the box office. Do you know that movie, Remember the Titans?
I have heard of Remember the Titans, but I haven't don't know anything about it.
I don't know. It stars Denzel Washington. It's an American football movie.
Yes.
And I'm not quite sure, but anyway, it was basically, it's just nice that you overguessed by going too high, essentially.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, Michael, did you like the movie, though? Space Jam?
I think that this film was like... It's the kind of film which, ignoring an obvious joke about one particular character, I think it works perfectly well as like a kid's film to be like enjoyed and kind of just like there's lots of stuff happening, and for that reason it's kind of quite easy to watch. But in terms of its actual quality as a film, I'm probably going to say I slightly disliked it. I maybe want to say I'm more average on it. I definitely didn't identify like meaningful amounts of quality.
Here's the thing, the quality is so low of the movie that it kind of makes you, and all this random crazy shit is happening courtesy of the Looney Tunes. Yeah. And just the concept of it kind of makes you want to forget like how bad it is. Like you don't want to take it so seriously, so you don't want to criticize it. But it's like, it's not a good movie. It's not like it's got a lot of problems with it. But the animation, which we'll get into, is quite good. And that is what makes it, passable. But yeah, I mean, like they it seems like they did cut a lot of corners. And again, we'll get into my thoughts on the marketing and all of that and why it was made. But yeah, like it's you don't want to be too harsh on it. You don't want to be too cynical because it's just it's such a dumb movie with like a dumb premise. Like how can you like drag it through the mud and pick out all these problems? But like you can if if you would want to. Like, it's not a good movie, like I said. So anyway, let's.
It kind of gives me like Jim Carrey's The Grinch vibes in terms of like having a lot of like things you can point out they're just bizarre and like weird and not very good about it, but it's sort of just like, you know what, I kind of I want to like it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into the nitpicks, Michael. How many did you have?
Yeah. Well, see, you said it wasn't a movie you want to drag too much, and to be honest, I only gave it one. I've got one nitpick, just because, like, I mean, to be fair, like, part of it is because lots of it's set in the Toon world, so obviously there's a degree to which then anything goes. But yeah, I probably could have got more.
When Sylvester Stallone gets a bullet through his chest, you're not going to nitpick that because
I decided. Did I
say Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah, what's his actual name? Sylvester the cat.
Yeah, it's just the cat. It's not Stallone. Greatest Sylvester Stallone show.
Yeah, I think I probably could have got more, but I just went for one nitpick. Okay. So yeah.
What was that?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, well, you haven't told me how many nitpicks you have.
I've got 3. You go first.
Okay, yeah. So basically, when Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park falls into, I think it's called the dugout where the baseball players sit. I want you to tell me that I'm right.
Yeah, I think it is good. The dugout.
He falls like the distance of like a fully grown man and then some onto what presumably is like a hard concrete floor, and you just think to yourself, that would hurt so much. And it's like the kind of thing where obviously in the Looney Tunes universe, someone falling that far would be fine. But in real life, you just got to think to yourself, imagine like how actually bad it would be if somebody just fell straight onto their back, right onto the concrete floor, 10 feet below them.
Yeah, no, it'd probably hurt a lot, but he's got a lot of fat to cushion him. So it's okay. So it's not a nitpick. By the way, I think in baseball there's something called the bullpen. I don't know what that is. Is it just like what you have it as your pitches?
Are you saying you don't know what the bullpen is? Because that sounds a bit like bull penis.
I mean, I don't think it... Like, there's a whole other syllable at the end. I'm not sure I'd go that far. It's a bit of a stretch, but yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is a dugout. Maybe it is a bullpen, or the bullpen something else. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's your nitpick. My 3 nitpicks are, Michael. The first one, if the aliens don't know what basketball is, why do they have a magical basketball with them?
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe they stopped off somewhere, but they didn't show that. So
yeah, Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did Bugs and Daffy Duck pick up Michael's basketball stuff instead of Michael Jordan? Why?
Yeah, actually, they should have explained it because honestly,
he knows where that stuff is.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, obviously, again, you can think of like a reason why maybe it's the case. Like maybe it's easier in some way for Looney Tunes to go back and forth somehow.
They should have had a line to explain that. I mean, the thing is, like, if he still wants to help the Looney Tunes, like, I was wondering about his motivation in this movie for staying, but if he still wants to help them, then he could do that and then come back. No problem. And my last nitpick, how did Stan, so that's Wayne Knight, Michael Jordan's assistant, or Dennis Nedry, as you call him, rather annoyingly, how does he get himself into Looney Tune land? Because, I thought these cartoon characters have, special magical abilities to go through the ground, but apparently humans can do it too.
Well, don't they make a kind of like, what's it called, lamp shading about that with Bill Murray, where he says like, I wasn't really paying attention to it at this point, but he says like, hey Bill Murray, how did you get here? And I think Bill Murray says something intentionally like absurdist, just to be like, it doesn't really make sense that Bill Murray would have got there.
Well, do you know what he says? He says, oh yeah, a producer is a friend of mine.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it's like sense. A fourth wall.
Yeah, fourth wall breaking joke.
Breaking
so
joke.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but obviously,
I can't believe you weren't paying attention. By the way, Michael, that's pretty bad.
Sometimes I just don't pay attention to that. Like sometimes when I'm watching certain comedies, if I hear a line, I'm like, oh, that line was probably a joke. I'm just like content to not really know what the joke was. Just like if I think it's something that affects the plot, then I will listen to it, but then forget it later on. But
anyway. Stan, and just the point is for the nitpick.
Yeah.
Stan is not friend of the producer in this universe. Of course, he's the assistant to Michael Jordan, and of course, in this movie, Bill Murray plays himself. Yeah. So he doesn't have an excuse.
Have you considered that he used his hacker knowledge to turn down or turn off the perimeter fence?
He's not Dennis Nedry. Oh. He's not Dennis Nedry.
In my head, it's part of the same.
He's more famous for fucking Seinfeld than Jurassic Park.
I know. Yeah, I do know that he was in Seinfeld too. But yeah, I think
the thing is... he was in Seinfeld too.
Yeah, sorry, he was in Seinfeld primarily. But the thing is, in Jurassic Park, he does have a more iconic moment because it's really funny how
5 minutes.
Yeah, but how he dies, it just like gets eaten. He like slips over and there's like a cartoon sound effect. Anyway, but that's all the nitpicks done. Why don't you tell us about the plots, Luke?
Sure thing, Michael. So, that was a good transition there.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? Before we get into the plot, Michael, see, even when you do a transition, you mess up. No,
I find it happens quite often, actually.
But anyway, we're going to talk about the concept first before we get into the actual plot, because Michael Jordan plays a basketball game with the Looney Tunes to defeat a group of monsters who want to capture the Looney Tunes to take them back to their amusement park. I mean, that is basically the plot. But that is the, because nothing else happens. But that is the concept, and just wow, what an idea!
Yeah.
It just I thought. I did think when I first heard about this movie and watched it, probably I can't remember the first time I watched it, but I was like, well, whoever made this must have been on like drugs or something to come up with this idea. And I like this from Wikipedia. It received mixed reviews from critics who were divided on the out-of-place merits and concept of combining Jordan and his profession with the Looney Tunes characters. Yes, I can see why they would say that. But yeah, it's just such a crazy and outlandish idea. Wouldn't you say, Michael? You agree? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, they have the whole thing about like it's like they've got to use the basketball because that's like the idea they come up with to defend themselves. So obviously, and within that context, the fact it's basketball could almost be incidental. Obviously,
no, I'm not talking about the plot.
Yeah, sorry, I know you're not talking about the plot. Sorry, yeah, sorry. I'm just saying like the way
it's excuse.
Sorry,
Michael Jordan. Yeah, it's just like the overall concept of having this fucking guy
like,
with Looney Tunes.
Obviously, we should. I mean, this is something again which you can, also falls under animation. But the idea of like the real world live action meets cartoon obviously happened with Roger Rabbit, and I don't know, like maybe in a way they were like, let's do that again. But like, how are we going to make sure it gets money?
I've got an explanation, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I was just asking about how you feel about the concept, and I think you can agree it's weird, right?
Yes, weird concept.
We can agree on that. Okay. So in 1992 and 1993, two Nike ads, Hair Jordan, because instead of Air Jordan, it's Hair Jordan, and starring Bugs Bunny, and Aerospace Jordan, respectively, aired on television featuring Michael Jordan with the character Bugs Bunny. And these were directed by Joe Pytka. And the production of the 1992 ad was hindered by the reluctance from Warner Brothers to allow Nike to modernize Bugs Bunny's character. But the commercial success of both ads was a nice bit of research for Warner Brothers to understand that Bugs' character still had relevance and to tie it in with Michael, explained Pytka. This led to the company greenlighting a film featuring Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny, which came out of a plane meeting between a Nike executive and producer Ivan Reitman, who I've of course mentioned before, who produced this movie. And so at the same time, Warner Brothers tried to create a more adult, sophisticated material in the animated film market that deviated from the formula set by Disney. So essentially, looking at this background, it worked for Nike. It's just a massive marketing campaign for them, so they can sell more shoes, and it works for Warner Brothers as well because they get to do some animation experiments. I guess people who worked for both companies knew each other, and that's the only reason I could see this happening. Like, and initially for the commercial, like a Nike executive went to college with a guy from Warner Brothers, and therefore they came up with this idea for the initial commercial, and then eventually that snowballed into this movie happening, as both were happy with how the commercial went. So again, it's that initial commercial with Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan. I mean, they don't go into detail on Wikipedia as to why that happened, but that would be interesting. Again, my theory is just two people knew each other, or a Nike executive talked to producer Ivan Reitman, and that's how they got the got the movie going. Probably the same thing for the commercial. Like a Nike executive knew somebody from Warner Brothers. It's like, hey, why don't we pair up Michael Jordan with Bugs Bunny? Why don't we do that? And it worked. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I guess it's the kind of, you want to use your iconic characters. Like if you have an iconic character, you think, oh, I it makes more of an association in people's heads rather than just having some random animated character. They didn't have Danny DeVito, the alien, as the starting point. They had to start with Bugs Bunny. But no, I mean, that's the thing. Like, obviously, I mean, it kind of reminds me of how a lot of children's cartoons, especially from America, were literally made by toy companies. To obviously Transformers was made by a toy company because they couldn't advertise. So let's just make a fucking show that's a whole advertisement.
Yeah, and it worked. Yeah, I mean,
and now look how far we've come with the Transformers franchise.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people said that about Star Wars, didn't they?
Yeah, that's true.
The prequels.
The prequels,
yeah. Well, yeah. George Lucas could sell a lot of toys, and he did. And so it is a very effective tactic if you get it right, and as this movie I think shows. So the project was closed initially when Jordan retired from basketball in 1993, only to be reopened in 1995 when Jordan returned as a basketball player. Don't know if you know the timeline.
Yes, I do actually know this because I wanted to find out who Michael Jordan played for, even though it was then later on answered in the film. When I was first watching, I was like, I don't really know much about Michael Jordan. I found out.
You don't know who he played for?
I genuinely so the thing is, I have this mindset where I assume that every single person who ever played basketball who's famous must have played for the Lakers.
Yes, that's the great mindset to have. I wish that was true.
Everyone's just like, people like mentioning like, oh yeah, they probably played for the Lakers. So I was like, and then obviously now I know it's the Chicago Bulls, which to be fair, when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, I've heard that before.
Well, you know the iconic 23.
Is that the number he had on his back?
Oh, you're a fucking dickhead, honestly. What do you do with your life? How do you not know about Michael Jordan and his number was the iconic number 23?
Why is it so? Is it just iconic because it was his number?
Because he fucking wore it. That's why. And he wore it throughout his college days when he won a championship.
Is it a retired number?
I mean, yes, of course it's fucking retired.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, see, the thing is, I would assume because I know about retired
by the Chicago
numbers.
Bulls, basically.
Obviously. That would be
actually, you know what? Actually, no, a funny story with that. Miami Heat also retired the number 23 when Jordan retired for a second time, even though he never played for them.
No, that looks kind of needy.
Yeah, I know.
That's like, well.
Yeah, and that, funnily enough, LeBron James wore the number 23 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I imagine you've heard of LeBron.
Yes, I have, yes. Yeah, well, didn't you say that he's literally going to be in the new film?
Yes, he is, yes.
Who's the guy who died in that car crash? I mean, no, helicopter crash.
That was Kobe Bryant. He wore the number 24 for the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh. So, yeah, big difference. But Kobe, actually, the only player to have two jerseys retired for an NBA team, number 8 and 24, because he wore like number 8 for 10 years and number 24 for 10 years, like split exactly down the middle for his career as a Laker. But anyway, with LeBron James, he wore the number 23 with Cleveland. And then when he moved to Miami in 2010, he couldn't wear the number 23 because, of course, Miami retired it because of Michael Jordan. So we had to pick a new number 6. So in a roundabout way, it kind of influenced history. Just retiring this random jersey, which of course Michael Jordan didn't wear. But anyway, basically Michael Jordan incredibly. So I was going to ask, have you watched The Last Dance, which was on Netflix last year?
Oh.
You haven't watched?
Yes.
Because you live under a fucking rock and don't do anything.
Can I just clarify? Is that the one where you get the line about "I took that personally"?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That is that meme, and that's when I took that personally. Because the big thing about Jordan is you just had to say one line to him, and he just hated you and used that as motivation. And there were even some times where he just made stuff up about the opposition, like this. He imagined the opposition said this.
Sounds like your typical progressive modern leftist. Am I right?
Yeah, but yeah, so that The Last Dance went into it. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you not knowing Michael Jordan's famous number 23, you will not have seen that. There's no point in asking that. And of course, Michael, he was the biggest star on the planet, and the movie goes into that. Yeah. And yeah, basically the timeline is quite interesting with him.
Would you say Michael Jordan? This is a tough question for you as a basketball fan. Would you say Michael Jordan is your favorite MJ?
My favourite MJ. Well, how many other MJs are there? There's Michael Jackson,
Magic Johnson,
Magic Johnson. Well, I prefer Magic Johnson.
There's probably. I feel like there's got to be like some kind of a Middle Eastern person with MJ.
There's like Michael B. Jordan,
Mohammed Jafar.
Well, Michael B. Jordan as well. You can't forget.
Oh yeah. Michael B. Jordan.
Technically MJ. But anyway, yeah. So basically Jordan retires in 1993, comes back in 1995. And yeah, in between he played baseball, which was crazy. Like, imagine it's like Lionel Messi going off to play tennis and being really shit at it. Like, just imagine like how fucking crazy that would be. But that's what he did. The biggest superstar in the world did that for a couple of years, and I think it helped the movie because it allowed them to add in these real life elements into it with him playing baseball.
Yeah, I had no idea that was real. That's crazy. And also, can I just clarify? Was he actually genuinely? Was he really bad as a baseball player? I mean, I know you just said it.
He was bad. He wasn't really bad. It wasn't like embarrassing.
Yeah,
it was just bad. Like as you would expect for someone who hadn't played baseball in like 15 years.
Yeah, tell you what. Yeah, if I was like a baseball player, I'd be like, this seems kind of arrogant.
No, but a lot of people said that. But his teammates loved him apparently. Because they always like, I get to play baseball with Michael Jordan. I get to be teammates with Michael Jordan. That's the thing. Yeah. It wasn't MLB he was playing in, like the top league of baseball. It was like in the, they call it the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
because he wasn't good enough.
Yeah. To be fair, like baseball falls into the category of one of those sports where you'd be kind of happy playing it even if you weren't that good, because at the end of the day, like basketball, for example, I just wouldn't want to play that because I'm not very good at it. So I just think like I'm just going to get trounced. But baseball, at the end of the day, even if you're not that good, you still might get a couple of lucky hits in, and it's fine if you do. So it's like, I wouldn't mind if someone said like you've got to pick a sport to play, like baseball.
No, when I was over in America, I played a bit of baseball. And they throw it really fast.
Oh yeah,
like if you're not used to it, then you've got no chance.
Maybe cricket's probably actually the best sport to just play if you like aren't very good at it. Because I mean, I know that they bowl fast, but at least you get a bounce in there.
Yeah, you can just keep your bat in that position, and it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just hope it hits it.
Just stand in front of the wicket, I assume.
Yeah. So Michael Jordan plays baseball, and he's not that good. And yeah, they did incorporate. See, this is the thing. All that stuff, which I'm going to say, you know what? I liked how they took something out of real life and put it in the movie. You have no idea because you don't even. I can't believe you didn't even know Michael Jordan's number. That is absolutely shocking.
Yeah. What number did he have when he played baseball?
I think it was 45. Because do you remember that or not?
Wait, you mean so that was actually in the game and that was accurate? I mean, that was actually in this film and it was accurate.
Yeah, 45.
I didn't.
Because his dad, that was the number his dad or his brother wore, 45 when they played baseball, and that's the reason why he wanted to play baseball. Yeah, because his dad played it.
And so really, they didn't write a film at all. They just bloody. I assume all of this now is just based on real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the Looney Tunes part.
That's why it's so good because it makes sense because he has this redemption where he plays this game of basketball. And it's like, you know what, I'm going to play basketball again. I mean, the movie doesn't outright say it, but that is what it's like. And yeah, Jordan, his dad died basically in 1993. And his dad died in a hit and run, they didn't even know it was Michael Jordan's dad when they killed him, just robbed him, and basically he then took it really badly and was like, I'm going to play baseball like my dad did, and yeah, then he came back a couple of years later, but yeah, that's how he processed the grief, and he wore 45, and that's how on his return to the NBA he also wore the number 45 for the brief part of the season where he rejoined, and then he switched back to 23 for his remaining stint of his career. But anyway, so. The plot, Michael, because we spent a lot of time in the background of Michael Jordan.
Yes.
The plot. So Michael Jordan basically is a baseball player who returns to basketball to save the Looney Tunes. That's it. That's the plot. And then we have a big game at the end. There's not a lot of plot there. There's not a lot of effort. There's not a lot going on. I mean, there's some side stories with the NBA players, but the plot is remarkably simple, isn't it?
Yes. It's kind of nicely streamlined in a way. It's just they've got to go get the Looney Tunes because the Looney Tunes are popular. And yeah, it's everything kind of follows on reasonably well from the other things. There's a reasonable logical plot progression. And it's as simple as it needs to be, as a children's film. So I'm happy with that. Happy with how simple it is.
Yeah, no, I'm not really, I don't know if I'm happy.
Yeah,
it is what it is. So let's go through the movie. So we start off. It's 1973, and Michael Jordan is a kid, and it's like a superhero origin story. That's how I felt with showing him as a kid. Some foreshadowing dialogue in there. I'm going to win an NBA championship. I'm looking at the basket and wondering what could be. Not necessary at all, but I guess. It sets up the movie because this movie does portray Jordan as a superhero, so that is basically.
Also, they have an R. Kelly song in a scene featuring MJ, so that's
perfect. But what is the song right after Michael when they do the opening montage for the movie?
Wait, hold on a minute. Oh no, I'm thinking of different songs. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the jam. Great.
I just realised actually the song they play, I can't remember, it's before one of the baseball matches. They play Pump Up the Jam, and I literally just realised that has the word jam in it.
I know, it's great.
Pump up the jam, pump it up.
Come on and slam. Welcome to the jam. Lovely. I what a great start to the movie. Great.
Would you have preferred it though? Be honest. If it had we're gonna admit I've forgotten their name. The Tokyo Drift song. What's it called?
I think it's just called Tokyo Drift.
Yeah. Sorry. What's the name of it? It's the Something Boys. And I'm really
the Teriyaki Boys.
Teriyaki Boys. Oh,
Yes, the Teriyaki Boys. Yeah, they're two great songs in two great movies.
Yes.
So Michael Jordan retires, and and he moves to baseball, which is how it happened in real life, basically. Although people were a lot more shocked then. Oh wow, Michael, why did you decide to do that? Right. are you fucking kidding me? Is this a joke? What are you doing? But anyway, so, like I said, it's nice to weave the real world stuff into it. And he isn't happy with his life since he's not doing well at baseball. And so this is a bit of a redemption arc for him, like I said. And, the fact that they add this in does enhance the movie. This movie is quite shallow, I will say, but it would be even more shallow if he was still playing basketball in real life, because you wouldn't have this arc of like, what, I'm going to start playing basketball again. God, I know I'm not good at basketball anymore. You know what, I'm going to play again. I'm going to show them, hey, you know what, I could return to the NBA and dominate. And that's why, like you said before, like, it's based on a real, or this, you could say this movie is based on real life as a joke. People have made that joke before. Like, actually what happened was Bugs Bunny. They may have even referenced it in The Last Dance, Space Jam, because, it does play off what happened in real life. I like the moment when Bugs Bunny makes fun of him for playing baseball, saying, he's a Shakespearean actor as well at the same time.
Yes.
That's good. And, it works because the reason the aliens don't go after Jordan is because he is retired. So they go after the best basketball players, but not Michael Jordan, because
that's the crazy thing about it being based on real life. Because I assumed the fact that he retired in this film was in order to make it so that obviously he wouldn't get his talent stolen. But in real life, the reason he retired is so that aliens wouldn't steal his talent.
Yeah, exactly. Aliens wouldn't steal his talent.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if Michael Jordan became a Scientologist?
I mean, I don't know. It would be that funny, to be honest.
Because like he was in a film about aliens, so you'd be like, and Scientology is about aliens.
I mean, I mean, plenty of people have been films about aliens that aren't Scientologists.
Actually, now I think about it, Tom Cruise was also quite famously in a film about aliens called War of the Worlds, so never mind.
Yeah, so that's the situation Michael Jordan is in. And then, we go to the aliens in this movie. So there's a monster theme park in a far-off distant galaxy, and they get the Looney Tunes on TV, apparently. That's what they get, and they all really enjoy it too. So that's neat. It's just, again, such a stupid idea. They come to Earth and they happen to zoom right past Michael Jordan, because of course the Warner Brothers land, I guess, is right under wherever Michael Jordan's playing. Of course, it has to be that. And they it's like in the center of the Earth. Warner Brothers land, I guess, is like Hollow Earth. That thing that is in Godzilla movies. An Earth within an Earth. That's what Warner Brothers land is, apparently. So that's cool. And I mean, I don't know what to think, Michael. It's just like some crazy shit one after the other. But you like it, don't you? You're following it.
I enjoyed it, and I think the idea of there being a little land under the ground where the cartoons live is a really nice idea, and it kind of makes sense when you think about it, because like the cartoon sky, the sky in cartoons always looks a bit like it's just drawn on anyway. So the idea that actually it's just the underside of our planet, it's genius.
Yeah, absolute genius. That is definitely the word to describe it. So basically, they try to capture Bugs Bunny and to take him and the rest of the Looney Tunes back to, I think it's Moron Mountain. That's their park name, Moron Mountain. Bugs Bunny adds this fake note into this book that the Looney Tunes need a chance to defend themselves if you want to capture them. You can't turn cartoon characters into slaves without giving them a chance to defend themselves, Michael. But I don't know why you couldn't have just
written that there was no slavery.
Yeah, you can't steal cartoon characters and turn them into slaves in this rule book. Bugs Bunny, bit of an idiot, right?
I think maybe his logic was that if you wrote something that seemed too convenient, they'd be like, oh, that seems a bit too convenient. But instead, he's like, they just get a chance to defend themselves. That sounds legit.
Yeah, that sounds legit. He doesn't bring up that rule book again throughout the rest of the movie. Just uses it once, even though he's tricked them 100% successfully.
Yeah, that's true.
So he challenges the aliens to a game of basketball. And I don't get why the aliens let the Looney Tunes choose their game. It seems quite dumb. Like, okay, well, you're small, so let's pick basketball. Yeah. Oh, well,
they should have challenged them to a game of not being aliens.
Yeah, I know.
So I would have done.
Yeah. And look, I know you have to somehow get Michael Jordan into a basketball game to play for the Looney Tunes, because that's the fucking concept of the movie. But it feels like this plot device, I don't know, it could have had a little more effort put into it. Like, they need they have to challenge them to a game. Okay, well, there you go then, I guess. I do like how the game of basketball is chosen, since, the aliens are small. So that does make sense. Because I was thinking, why basketball? But, they're pretty short, so it would have been easy for the Looney Tunes to beat them. So I guess that makes sense. Like, the thinnest bit of credit I shall give to them.
Yeah, I think it, makes the characters look kind of smart, which is nice. It's nice when you're watching a film and you're like, the characters are actually using logic and reason, and it's kind of it's a shame that you don't see that in some much more serious films. But yeah, that's my attack on the rest of the film industry.
But to be fair, Bugs Bunny didn't use logic. Just
he didn't use it in Lawrence yet.
Oh, you have to give them a chance to defend themselves. No, what about? It says here in this rule book that the aliens have to shoot themselves in the head if they want to turn cartoon characters into slaves. What about that, hey? You didn't want to put that in your movie, did you, Warner Brothers?
Yeah, I think also it's quite hard. Yeah, it's hard to imagine how. I think you kind of touched on this already. Yeah, it's really difficult to imagine how they could get basketball in there without there being some kind of ridiculous contrivance.
Yeah, exactly. A ridiculous contrivance it is, but it's so stupid. You just have to go with it, I guess. So the aliens are then stealing the NBA players' talent. I guess it's another case of just go with it. They take Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing's talent at the game in New York. Imagine being at that game between the Suns and the Knicks. That would be great to be in the audience seeing that being filmed. That would be a really cool game.
I'd be so excited. I'd have to wear my special raincoat.
Oh, that's a good one. So the aliens also, I think, that's a masturbation joke when the woman looks at it. Yeah. The aliens also take Sean Bradley, Larry Johnson, and Muggsy Bogues' talent too. I don't know why the talent makes them taller though. Surely if it's just talent.
True,
yeah. Muggsy Bogues. That's the thing with Muggsy Bogues. He's really short, and to be fair, that one alien is really short in the actual game. But Muggsy Bogues, he didn't get to the NBA because of his height. He got there because he was a really talented basketball player.
I actually have a question, by the way. The one white guy who's really talented.
Sean Bradley.
As a basketball expert yourself, would he actually be reasonably considered to be in the top 5 basketball players of that time, or did they just pick him to add some diversity?
No. Diversity, yeah, maybe, but no, he wasn't in the top 5. A lot of these players weren't the best. Like Larry Johnson was not one of the best. Neither was Muggsy Bogues. He was just famous because he was 5'5" and in the NBA. But Charles Barkley was and Patrick Ewing was. They could be considered top 5.
Yeah, so, actually, I've heard of both of those basketball players, so that proves it.
Probably because they're really famous and were really good.
I think I've heard Patrick Ewing mentioned in a rap song. So there we go.
Okay, yeah.
There was I'm going for the shot version. Like I'm Patrick Ewing.
Okay. I was thinking of an epic rap battle of history.
No. Sorry.
Because I remember Mitt Romney called Michelle Obama Patrick Ewing. Yeah, I remember that line.
Oh no, actually, it's a Mac Miller lyric, and I think he says, and this is okay. I'm wondering about this. He says something about having them bad genes like Patrick Ewing.
Oh, because he wore bad jeans, I think.
Yeah, okay. Well, that would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, I think he wasn't good on his fashion. Neither was Karl Malone either, another basketball player from that era. And he was also maybe a rapist, so... Yeah, but anyway, Patrick Ewing wasn't, though. Patrick Ewing right now is the coach of Georgetown, and he played for... The reason why he was very famous, he played for the New York Knicks, the biggest franchise in basketball for 15 years, and was the star. And Charles Barkley also played for the Suns. He won an MVP, and he is currently right now on TNT giving basketball analysis. He's like a joker. He's known for his comedy. He's always saying hilarious lines and get all the other hosts laugh at him. Like, Chuck, you can't say that. Come on, Chuck. And he's like, God damn it, it's true though. And that's the. That's the dynamic basically. But anyway,
that's the sports commentator. The sportsman's circle of life. You start off playing a sport, and then you become a commentator later on.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't go after Hakeem Olajuwon or Shaquille O'Neal or even David Robinson. Those are some of the top basketball players from that era. Maybe they felt Ewing and Bradley, they had enough senses in there. Or maybe, they couldn't get them to appear in the movie. It's one of the two. Interesting, Sean Bradley, I think is a massive Christian guy. I think he's a Mormon. He's something like that, yeah. Anyway, I love the scene with the Lakers not going into the game, by the way, because you have Vlade Divac saying it could be the invasion of the body snatchers, like that, because I can't remember what country he's from, but he's from Eastern Europe. And the thing, what was interesting is, of course, this would have been filmed in the 1995-96 season. In the summer of 1996, Vlade Divac was traded. So he was traded before this movie was released, and by the time this movie was released, he was not on the Lakers anymore. Do you know for which player, Michael, which famous Laker Vlade Divac was traded for?
Famous Laker players. Okay, so who are some in the 90s? Famous Laker players in the 90s, It was. See, Magic Johnson was 90s. Magic Johnson was in the 90s.
He was in the 80s. Just say the just say the second most famous one. If Magic Johnson's the most famous.
I'm really annoyed because I know that when you say this person, I'm going to know.
The thing is really stupid and ridiculous about it is because we've already mentioned his name and you've already mentioned the way he died earlier.
Oh,
and
Kobe
I've
Bryant.
already mentioned the fact that his jersey was retired by the Lakers.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, Kobe, Sorry, yeah, and I knew he played for the Lakers, and yeah, Kobe Bryant. I didn't actually. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize Kobe Bryant played in the 90s. I always kind of assumed he was relatively
in 1996 at the age of 18, and then he retired in 2016 at the age of 38.
Yeah, and then he retired in a whatever.
No jokes about that, because he is one of my heroes. So no jokes about that. R.I.P. to the legend Kobe Bryant. But yeah, he was traded for Vlade Divac, and also that summer was the summer they signed another big player, Shaquille O'Neal. Get it? Big, because he's very big. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Like, there was those group of Lakers were the last group before things changed, and Kobe and Shaq then went on to win 3 NBA championships with the Lakers in the early 2000s. Anyway, so that's just a bit of background. And yeah, they all put on their gas masks as well. And I like in general, by the way, how this isn't just a Michael Jordan movie. You know, a lot of NBA players and teams get involved in this movie. You know, even in the next scene, you have Larry Bird, who was retired by then.
Yes.
And there's later scenes with Charles Barkley being unable to play and getting destroyed by a bunch of kids and a bunch of players, you know, going to therapy. Patrick Ewing being asked if he can't perform in other areas. Muggsy Bogues talking about the planets being realigned and them all going to a fortune teller.
Oh, I love it talking about things we like that are funny. I liked when they all walked into the into the door frame.
Yeah. Or the door frame. Yeah. That was good. Yeah, no, it's good. I like all of that. And of course, the NBA is cancelled, which we'll come to later on in the
COVID.
The end of the movie. Yeah, like it was with COVID. Anyway, so the aliens then become the Monstars because they take the NBA players' talent, and that means the Looney Tunes need to get Michael Jordan, obviously. Like, I don't know why they picked him or knew about him, considering, you know, the basketball tape they were playing was from the 50s. Like, I don't know how they would keep up with modern basketball, but, you know, I did think, wouldn't it be cheating since he isn't a Looney Tune? Like, the Monstars wanted to play the Looney Tunes. Michael Jordan...
Yeah, in fact, actually, it does. Yeah, it gets to the point of exactly. Why wouldn't the Looney Tunes just pick 5 actual basketball players?
Literally, I put next. Also, why stop there? Why not get a bunch of other NBA players too?
Yeah, this is like the Homer at the Bat episode of The Simpsons.
Yes, yeah, no, it literally is just getting in ringers, and it's like, oh yeah, he's definitely a Looney Tune. Yeah, this 6'8" guy, 250 pounds, a ton of muscle. Yeah, don't worry about it. He's a Looney Tune. Why, if you can get Jordan, why can't you get all the rest of them? And yeah, so that's a bit of an issue there. Anyway, maybe the Looney Tunes should have been like, oh, we'll let you have one player. Or the Monstars should have we'll let you have one player, okay, to defend yourselves with. Because we've got all this NBA talent, you know, you can have one player. And they chose Michael Jordan. They could have had a nice fun discussion about choosing the player as well. It's like comparing players and making jokes. It's like, Michael Jordan, doesn't he play baseball now? But yeah, anyway. So, basically...
actually, you know what they could have done? Now I think about it. Sorry, I just had a thought. In order to make the, admittedly, this would just change the order of the coincidences, but in order to make the whole them playing basketball thing less coincidental, you could set up Michael Jordan in some way running into the Looney Tunes early on, and then that would be why they decided upon baseball. Obviously, like I say, then you'd have to come up with why did Michael Jordan encounter Looney Tunes, but it's, you could come up with something like that.
You've substituted one problem.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway,
just moved it around.
So Michael Jordan is playing golf with Bill Murray and Larry Bird.
Well, I thought he was a baseball player.
Yeah,
not a golf player.
He was famously good at golf. Michael
Do you think Tiger Woods on his weekends used to play professional basketball?
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Just casually, yeah.
Yeah, because he was black, right? So.
I mean, he still is black, by the way. I know we've been speaking about a lot of dead people, but Tiger Woods...
did I say he was black?
You said he was black.
Yeah, I mean, but he actually... it was the racial draft. Do you remember that sketch from Dave Chappelle in 2004?
I mean, I've seen some of Dave Chappelle's show, but I haven't seen enough to have seen everything. I don't think I've seen that.
I can't remember. What did Jordan get drafted? He got drafted by the... I think it was by the African Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. And I think the Wu-Tang Clan then got drafted by the Asians.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it's a funny sketch. But anyway, so Larry Bird and Bill Murray playing golf with Michael Jordan. You get sucked into the hole, and they just don't care. They just don't react. They're just like, we should just go. And
typical racist golfers.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Total racism there. Imagine what Tiger Woods had to put up with on the course in his early days.
People always trying to shove him down the holes.
Yeah. Anyway, look, whatever believability and all that doesn't make sense about this film is just
Luke, I actually just realized that I made a really funny joke accidentally because I said shoving Michael Jordan down the holes, and I realized Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is a famous adulterer, so that joke works on multiple levels.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially those women.
Yeah, exactly.
He was always getting lost down holes.
Yeah, okay. I think we've slandered Tiger Woods enough now.
Yeah,
we can move on from him. But yeah, I to be honest, Tiger Woods actually, if you talk about American sports superstars who were black, it was Michael Jordan, and then immediately after Tiger Woods filled in his role after Jordan retired. But anyway, so. Like I said, all believability about this movie has been thrown out the window, but still, Larry Bird and Bill Murray just not reacting when Michael Jordan is sucked down the hole. I don't know. I'm just like, just have them turn around so they don't see it. That would be easy instead of them fucking.
Yeah, just especially things that they're also saying oh, he probably just wanted to get away from the guy Dovak, whatever his name is.
Yeah. You see, if they cared and reacted to Jordan getting sucked down a hole, then the press would get involved, and you would need more scenes, and it would be a lot more expensive, of course. So you can't do that. We need to keep this movie as thin as possible. So Jordan gets to Looney Tune Land and doesn't freak out or think he's dead. He doesn't ask how to get out of here. Instead, he just goes, "You're not real," and then he does the calmest ever. What's going on here? It's just such a deadpan way. Bro, you're in a fucking cartoon world. Do you want to have a bit of emotion?
Also, this was made after Roger Rabbit, which of course features cartoons literally trying to kill people. So he probably could have, he should have been a bit scared. There's not Judge Dredd or whatever his name is. Judge Doom isn't here.
I think now is a good point to talk about the Michael Jordan character in this movie because he is the nicest, cleanly spoken guy ever. Yeah. A total contrast to his personality in real life, I will say. But you think about how he's presented in this movie. He lives in quite a modest house.
Oh yeah.
His house is ridiculous. He is one of the richest. He's a billionaire right now, and he probably was earning hundreds of millions back in the day.
Yeah.
The fact that the movie portrays him living in that house is ridiculous, and it's just to present him as he's not so different, he's nice, he's modest, he's got his feet on the ground. It's a very nice house, but it's not anything too garish, which is completely unrealistic. He wants to help the Looney Tunes. He's always nice and pleasant, just a complete robot. He's got a lovely wife and kids.
Remember when he gets to be cute with Tweety Pie? Tweety Pie has something poor Tweety Pie.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He has to have absolutely no personality, so he does nothing wrong, so his brand can stay pristine and perfect. I was thinking when Bugs Bunny was talking about performing for lowbrow, stupid aliens every night, and he was lamenting being taken as a slave. It's performing for lowbrow, stupid aliens every night would be horrible. Wouldn't it be funny if Jordan said, that reminds me about playing in Detroit? And that's the thing. I only mentioned Detroit because
you're a racist.
No, it's nothing to do with. No, it's because Jordan had a lot of tough battles with Detroit, and he didn't like them. That was probably his biggest rival up until then. And so that's what would mean it's funny. But you can't say a funny line. You can't have Michael Jordan saying that because it offends people in Detroit, and he wants everybody to buy his shoes. And he wants to be the perfect person.
Because it's funny that obviously you've mentioned that whole "I took that personally" thing about how he used to get really angry with people all the time. It's there's lots of things that he could have taken personally in this film, which he decided to turn the other cheek to. And I was thinking, definitely a very different image of him as a person.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When he is talking to the Looney Tunes, and literally slavery is on the line for the Looney Tunes, he's just let's go have some fun out there, and that's it. He just does not want to be aggressive or enthusiastic in any way. Just a literal robot. Also, Gene Siskel had a good take, which I agree with. So it says here on Wikipedia, Gene Siskel focused much of his praise on Jordan's performance, saying he wisely accepted as a first movie a script that builds nicely on his genial personality in an assortment of TV ads. The sound bites are just a little longer. I don't know if that's praise necessarily, just saying, well, he was too shit to do anything better.
Yeah, so it's a bit like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, exactly. But he's saying, Jordan did nothing too complex, same as the other NBA players, basically short lines. And yeah, I think that's correct because, of course he's bad at acting, but, Michael Jordan appeared in a ton of commercials in the 90s, you want to be like Mike, etc. And basically, that personality of just nice, kind, he's just a nice guy, Michael Jordan, you know, that worked in those commercials, and that basically was translated into this movie as his performance.
No, yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't really have much of a preconception about Michael Jordan as a, you know, person, but obviously I could tell that he comes across as just a real saint in this, and obviously I can imagine, you know, there's a certain... Like with adverts, they generally want like the person to seem like trust. Like, hi, it's Michael Jordan. I'm here to recommend these Nike shoes. And you're like, okay, well, Michael Jordan seems like a trustworthy guy. So I guess in that context, it's like he seems like the kind of guy who would help a bunch of Looney Tunes from being enslaved.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course, Michael Jordan would help the Looney Tunes. You know, he's such a nice guy. Of course, he would help them and stop them from being enslaved, even though he has nothing to benefit from this at all. You know, because he's Michael Jordan. He's a good guy. And you should buy, like you said, these Nike shoes, or, you know, go to McDonald's, or drink a Gatorade as well, because that's what Michael Jordan does, and Michael Jordan's nice. Anyway, so Michael Jordan gets annoyed by the Monstars because, you know, he's such a hero, because, you know, Tweety Bird got thumped in the head. Again, like his motivation is, you know what? No, you're not going to pick on these people because I'm a good guy. I'm going to stand up for them. Again, in real life, his personality was very different. But anyway, basically, they're practicing, and, you know, nobody can play. You know, Michael Jordan's trying to get these ragtag group of people to play basketball. But there's one tune who can play, Michael, and that is Lola Bunny, who comes in with her fat fucking rabbit titties. There's a reference to a previous cold open where somebody complained about cancel culture.
Yeah, by somebody, you mean you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were the one just, and I couldn't stop you talking about it.
I took that joke from somebody else, basically. That's the thing. The people have talked about the contrast between her in this movie, the new movie Space Jam: A New Legacy, and like her in this movie. And a lot of people like when you're in your early 20s to when you're in your mid 30s, like Lola Bunny. Like in 1996, Lola Bunny now, with like just her sweats and looking very unathletic. Oh, I don't know, unathletic, just like very lazy. Lazy. Just,
not bang tidy, I think is the phrase you're looking for.
Not bang. Again, we're talking about a cartoon rabbit here, folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lola Bunny, Michael. What do you think? Do you think, you know? Were you excited about her?
Well, I mean. Obviously, there is the fact, seeing as I've mentioned it like a billion times now, that you have, of course, Jessica Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, who was, you know, like, that was the thing. It was like, oh, it's sexy. And there was something about, like, the idea of, like, basically it was playing on the whole, like, 2D girls are better than 3D girls thing, back before that, like, properly became a thing with, like, 4chan and incels and all that sort of stuff. So I guess I was like, yeah, you know, like, drawing sexy cartoons is a winning strategy, basically. Which is kind of mental, and yet obviously, you know, I guess it makes sense because, like, it's kind of, in a way, it's what Disney have been doing like for ages. I know this isn't Disney, but it's what Disney have been doing because you look at like the Disney thing. It's like they give their female characters like super slender hips and like big eyes and you know, like things that generally speaking, like, oh, you know, like those big sexy eyes. I mean, what was I talking about? I was talking about how sexy was it Anna or Elsa or both of them? How beautiful they are. But that's the thing, like, these animators...
It's a bit weird to bring that up again.
These animators, though, like, the point I'm making is these animators, they literally, like...
Just skip right past that.
It's their job to make these, like, characters look... I guess, like, they're making them look sexy. Like, that's it.
But why, Michael?
But why, yeah,
it's so weird in a kid's movie to have this scene. Like, Bugs Bunny goes
He
stiff.
gets an erection.
He goes stiff after, like,
he becomes an erection.
Like, it's incredible. Like, they have this sexy, like, jazz music in the background.
Yeah,
and, you know, and like when she walks into the court at the end of the game, everyone's hollering at her, like in the crowd. And just
hashtag me too.
But she likes it though because she's the sexy rabbit. She's into it.
It's I mean, that's the thing. Like, it is. It's strange on so many levels, and obviously, I mean, there's also the furry thing. You know, like lots of modern day furries.
A lot of people have talked about how maybe watching Space Jam as a kid influenced their sexual preferences as an adult. I don't know about whether it's true or not, but it'd be interesting, the proportion of people who like furry stuff to the proportion of people who watched Space Jam when they were a kid and saw Lola Bunny. Because, again, I mean... I would love to be in the animation studio, like doing this Lola Bunny stuff.
Like, you got some like sleazy guy like smoking it. Like, to be honest, let's be honest, it was probably Danny DeVito. You got Danny DeVito just going to the animation studio like, hey, Let's make. I know this isn't Danny DeVito.
That's Danny DeVito's characters he plays.
Yeah,
not the actual person.
I struggled to distinguish.
But I wasn't imagining that. I was imagining, like a group of animators like doing like Lola Bunny's like breasts, and it's like, should we be doing this? Have we gone too far here? It's like the line from Jurassic Park.
You were so thinking about whether or not you could, that you didn't think whether or not you should.
Yeah, should we make a really sexy rabbit and put him in a kids movie and put her in a kids movie? Sorry, should we do that? Like, is that something that we as animators should do?
Sometimes I like to mention The Onion on this show, and there's an Onion video called "Meet the Animator Who Spent Months Making Sure That Mr. Incredible Had a Consistently Sized Penis Bulge throughout the entire Incredible series." Yeah, and it's just like this, like the joke is that he's just like really bored about it. It's just like, yeah, I had to go in, and no matter when it was, the bulge needed to be consistent.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So the person who definitely created this sexy rabbit thing probably was I don't know if furries existed back in the 90s.
Let's just say they had a penchant for anthropomorphized eroticism.
Yeah, okay, that's a very prudent
it's like, I know what you're saying. I think isn't it just like prudish? But like, let's say I get what you're saying. Like, it's kind of like a PG, but obviously like a fancier word for it.
Yeah, to say they wanted a big sexy rabbit in there.
Yeah.
It just crazy, really, looking back on it. And yes, the Space Jam: A New Legacy. Of course, there was some jokes about it with how Lola Bunny looked, but I think it's the right move.
But also, when you think about it, this is, I guess, my serious criticism. It's kind of pointless because she's not even that hot. Like, they're really leaning into how sexy she is. But at the end of the day, like, as you've pointed out yourself, she never even had big fat titties.
Yeah.
So it's like they didn't even give her the big fat titties.
It's all about like a scale, Michael. Like, you know, it's if you say a human being animated like that, maybe it's not like, oh, that's so sexy. Like, it doesn't become like a rabbit thing. But when it's a fucking rabbit,
it's naughtier.
Then it just becomes like weirder and maybe.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, well, there's that idea of like, taboos. Sex is all about taboos. So it's like, if you have sex with a rabbit, it's pretty naughty.
Okay, right. We don't encourage bestiality on this.
Yes.
On this show, and Lola Bunny doesn't exist either. So we can say that. Although I bet some people wish she did. She does not exist. She's just a figure.
Although it should be pointed out that one of the reasons bestiality is wrong is because animals can't consent. So if hypothetically speaking, this is my Ben Shapiro, if hypothetically speaking there was an animal that could reason like a human being, then it would be able to consent, and there wouldn't be anything wrong with having sex with it.
Yeah, but Lola Bunny is probably not attracted to you.
Whoa.
She's just probably attracted to other rabbits.
That's probably true.
Yeah,
actually.
so unlucky. It's just, this is a fucking kids movie starring Michael Jordan. It's such a fucking weird movie. Anyway, that's the Lola Bunny conversation done.
Yes,
as it's done.
I've been dreading that all year since you mentioned we were reviewing this film.
Okay, so that's the thing. Like, there's not a lot to talk about in the meat of the plot because like 50 minutes in, and we get to the end of the movie. It happens so quickly. It's like, well, I guess we're there at the the end, the final game already. There should at least be a couple more scenes. I found that really interesting. Scene, for instance. Where they run some plays, but it's just like, oh, we're here at the end of the movie. Again, this plot is so thin, man. It's so thin. But yeah, what did you say, Michael?
No, I was just saying I found the timing of the film a bit interesting. I mean, I guess like it's kind of like at the end of the day, most kids' films are like an hour and a half. And
but it's crazy wanted how to long they spend at the end.
Yeah, they wanted to make the basketball scene very long, which I guess
like half an hour or 25 minutes long because they've got to fill up all this time because nothing happens apart from the ending because it's very simple. Anyway, so in the actual game, the Monstars dominate the first half, and I have to say, there is a lot of fouling in this game.
Oh yeah, okay, that's yes.
Well, the referee is Marvin the Martian, and he's letting them play, and then some. I will say, it is it is back to the old days of like hand checking.
Why didn't they get VAR in there?
Yeah, well, they don't use VAR. But what were you going to say, Michael?
I was just going to say, well, actually, there was one question I wanted to... Well, I remember I watched a video recently about how... I think maybe you mentioned this to me, actually. Baseball is the perfect game for sports movies. There was a video on that.
Did I say that?
I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm completely making it up. But
I don't think I did, but
okay,
I can see why it's true, because you only have one or two people in play.
It's very personal, yeah. And but I was thinking about, in this case, it's kind of like... Basketball, in a way, like I'm not going to say that there can't be good sports movies with basketball, but I think one of the problems with basketball is that like the rule about like not being able to touch people, I think inherently kind of creates like a weird situation in terms of being dramatic. Like, because otherwise, if they weren't allowed to foul, it would be really hard to imagine this like working, because it would just be like it wouldn't be anything like as fun.
People. You are allowed to. It's just not when they shoot.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know. Actually, well, I knew that you could kind of like touch people in some contexts, but yeah, obviously. So I guess like when we're talking about fouls, we're more talking about shooting people through the chest and causing them to have a massive gaping hole. Which yes, I can understand.
That is hard fouling to the extreme. Yes.
Yeah. So, but no, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, obviously, one of the problems, I guess, is that the aliens are like bad guys. Also, another thing that just generally seems to occur in like basketball in films is that like, or TV shows, is that fouling people and like injuring people is like how you communicate that they're being dominated. And I don't know if you've ever seen in Malcolm in the Middle, there's an episode where Hal is like playing the kids, and then in the end they beat him by punching him in the balls, and it gave origin to the meme of Stewie looking down on him going, "The future's now, old man." But the point being, I would imagine that in a real basketball game, you don't actually beat somebody by punching him in the balls. So, I mean, this is my take as somebody who's not a basketball fan. It seems like a lot of films and TV are reluctant to actually show people beating other people at basketball through actual skill in the game. Their main thing is just like, whoa, what if you just punch them? Which is maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to Spike Lee's film in 1995. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, is it called He Got Game?
Yeah, He Got Game.
I've seen that film.
Ray Allen, who's an actual basketball player, because that's the thing. Like, basketball does require a lot of skill, but you can fake it, like in White Men Can't Jump. That's, apparently, Wesley Snipes could not play basketball, but they faked it somehow.
You know, I've seen He Got Game, and I literally can't remember a single thing about it. I know it's got Denzel Washington, and isn't he like trying to get his kid out of prison or something? Or like he's in prison and he needs to get out of prison by playing basketball. I just I've literally seen it and I have no idea anything about it. But anyway, the point being that basketball in films, I feel like it's something which, because for example, I mean, I don't really like American football in films because I don't really like American football in general. But American football, it's quite easy because it's essentially just a violent game where, you know, like it's essentially like filming a battle scene, really. Because yeah, I feel like kind of the specifics of how to get a basketball scene to work, there are more technical challenges there, which you could say this film is really not up to, especially when it's just supposed to be about a bunch of toons getting punked by aliens.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this, you know, it's a fucking game between the Looney Tunes and the monster, so obviously you're going to see some, I guess, hard fouling, I guess. And that is, yeah, the best way to dominate, because, you know, like, you can only score... it's just easier to do that instead of having, like, you know, to choreograph basketball stuff. You know, just have them punch into each other, or punch each other and knock into each other. That's the best way to show who's winning. Anyway, but the Monstars are, as we get to halftime, and Bugs gives the rest of the Looney Tunes some of Michael's secret stuff, which is just water. You know, a nice move, like a placebo effect. You know, it's a good plot device to have. But I will say, it is reminiscent of players kind of being forced to dope, like having Daffy Duck say, "This goes against what they taught us in health class," and then Michael Jordan says, "Do you want to win or not?"
Yes.
It's hilarious because of that. And in the 90s, there was a doping scandal with the MLB. Of course, Jordan did play baseball.
Yeah.
But, you know, players were hauled before Congress to explain themselves, but not with the NBA, though. You know, they avoided that. So maybe they could get away with it, but it was quite funny, him saying that after the doping stuff.
Yes, I was kind of...
Do you want to win or not? Yeah, it was fun. But anyway, the second half starts, and, you know, the Looney Tunes don't play better. They just cheat, basically. That's what they do. I do think in general the stunts that the Looney Tunes pull could have been incorporated into the game better, but, you know, it's fine. You know. Anyway, Jordan then makes a deal with the Danny DeVito boss of the theme park. You know, he puts himself up to be in the theme park as a slave if he loses, and for the NBA players to get their talent back if they win.
Yes,
and it's, I have to say, a very realistic move considering that Jordan loved to raise the stakes, as he said. Let's raise the stakes, because he was a big gambler.
What I found interesting about that, is just that it kind of occurred to me that they were probably going to give the talent back to the NBA players anyway, because they wouldn't really have any use to it after the match. Like, it might be the case that they just don't think to give it back to the NBA players.
Yeah.
But I would think to myself, like, okay, we've done that now. We don't really need this talent anymore. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but basically, the gambling thing is good, because that was what Michael... I'm surprised they had it in there, because, like, Michael... It was known around that time. There was rumours that the reason Michael Jordan retired from basketball to play baseball wasn't because, you know, his dad died, he just wanted to play baseball. It was because the commissioner of the NBA suspended Jordan, and this is a conspiracy theory, for gambling, and didn't want to say. So it was just like, right, you just don't play for a couple of years
Yeah.
because of your suspension. Complete bullshit. But that was a conspiracy theory. So yeah, I like that they added that Michael Jordan was a gambler, and it gives him motivation. So it's a good move.
Yeah.
In the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe he was gambling in Atlantic City the night before a game in New York was happening. At 1 a.m. in the morning. He was a big time gambler, was Michael Jordan. But anyway, so the Looney Tunes need a fifth player. I like how they care about the rules now. Does the referee? And in comes Bill Murray. How did he get here? Well, the producer is a friend of his. I get it. It's a fourth wall breaking joke, but I don't know if a movie can get away with that. Wait, why is this actor here? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, okay, well, we'll just say it's because he wanted to be in the movie. That's fine. You can't criticize it because we joke about it. We just skirt around the issue and joke about it. So don't get mad about it. Just enjoy it. I don't know if a movie can do that, but...
Well, there is a term for it, which is lampshading, which is basically... It's often used in... So people talk about it a lot with, comedies and, racist and sexist jokes, where, a comedy will make... a racist or sexist joke, and then a character will go, that's racist, and it's obviously it's kind of a modern thing that comedies do in order to get away with racist, sexist jokes, and obviously the implication is, in other words, because the movie or the film or the TV show is drawing attention to the bad thing in it, it's fine. And it's quite a commonly criticized thing. Obviously in this case it's not quite as politically significant, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think
at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, exactly. It's who the fuck cares? That's the thing. The movie is banking on you thinking, who the fuck cares, instead of getting mad about these plot or these illogical plot
comic book
progressions.
Guy,
yeah, exactly. So and they're right. Like I said, they're kind of right. So Bill Murray's there, and Michael Jordan scores the winning basket because of course he does. He gives great defensive advice, steal the ball and get it to me. Great stuff, Michael. They couldn't have done a bit better with that.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking that was a bit not really much in terms of tactics. I would assume that it seems like it's almost a bit like just saying, here's my tactical advice, win the game.
Yeah, when really funny people say during the Euros, why don't England just score a goal? If I was England, I'd score a goal right now.
I maintain that's a misrepresentation of my point of view. I consider that to be a slander.
Oh, is that what you tweet stuff like that?
No, I would never. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, sorry. I thought you were referring to how I said that I was annoyed that towards the end of the match against Denmark there was an obvious opportunity for England to score a goal. No. Okay, so sorry, I get what you were saying. So you're talking about people who when England are struggling to score a goal in general.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
They just tweet if I was England right now, if I was Gareth Southgate, I'd tell England to score a goal.
Just out there and it's just want it.
I'll shoot yourself in the fucking head. I was caught between head and face there.
Face.
But yeah, I like that Bill Murray makes the joke, by the way, about retiring and going out on top, like Jordan did, because that's what he did. And yeah, that's good. I like it. And yeah, so the Monstars boot the bad theme park owner out of the stadium, and Jordan makes sure to give the NBA players their talent back. And what does this mean, Michael? I was wondering, well, why is the NBA season cancelled? Because they didn't need to do it. That was a little scene in the beginning of in the middle of the movie. You might have missed it when the NBA cancels the season, and the reason, of course, why this happens is so Michael Jordan can say, "Hey, I saved the NBA because I gave the players their talent back, so they're fixed again, so we can play basketball again." And Michael Jordan not only saves Looney Tunes, he saves the NBA as well. And to be fair, there is this meta aspect of that Jordan coming back really did help the NBA. In those 2 years he was gone, ratings went down. So yeah, that was something that was quite nice.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do think obviously, I mean, you're right that it's an example of Michael Jordan coming across as the hero who, he really is the hero of this story, which
he's a hero,
unambiguously.
His spaceship, I believe I can fly when he lands at the end of the movie. It's like a hero shot of him at the end.
Yeah.
Like he is a superhero. That is how this movie portrays him. Like a superhero, like Superman, for instance.
Tell you what, if Michael Jordan was England manager, he would just be able to tell them, score a goal, and they just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, overall, I think a very weird, crazy movie because of all the stuff that was thrown in. Lola Bunny being one of them, the concept in general. But at the end of the day, it's a very simple plot. Michael Jordan is amazing. He saves the day playing a basketball game, and because of this, he then returns to basketball, which again is good. Some of the weirdness, again, Bill Murray, for instance, turning up, or the Looney Tunes doing weird shit in general, does obscure, I think, really how simple and maybe bad or definitely thin this movie is, because you watch it and I'm like, God, that was weird. But then you think about it, it's like, you know what, they probably did not spend a lot of time coming up with this big plot. Like, they were done in a couple of hours. But yeah, that's it. Anything else on the plot?
No, I think I'm happy to move on.
Okay, well, basically, this movie also, this is one of the good points about it, it was a tremendous technical achievement. So the animation faction of Warner Brothers, which animated the commercials and was located in LA, was originally planned to be the only company responsible for Space Jam. However, after only 1 week, the animation work was so complicated that Warner Brothers contacted more studios, including resigning the feature animation division in Glendale from working on the Quest for Camelot to Space Jam.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I've seen Quest for Camelot. It's not good.
So it was a good decision then to transfer to Space Jam. Due to its mixture of various art mediums, as well as the broad sense of humour and entertainment unique to the Looney Tunes, Space Jam was considered an important part of diversifying the animation industry, really 1 year after Toy Story as well. This was a really big time for animation as well. So Space Jam broke the record for the amount of composited shots in a feature film. Roughly 1,043 it was, as well as a record number of FX shots with around 1,100 in a single 90-minute film. Independence Day, which was also released in 1996, had 700 FX shots within 2 hours of screen time. So there's some interesting stuff here, Michael. It basically maybe revolutionized, maybe that's too strong a word, I don't know, like animation, to a certain extent, of course.
Yeah, but have you considered this? The CGI looks kind of dated.
Well, here's something else, Michael, because the Space Jam was one of the first ever productions to be shot on a virtual studio. Jordan filmed in a 360-degree green screen room with motion trackers, playing and acting alongside green-suited NBA players and improv actors taken from this theatre school around and serving as placement identifiers for the animated characters, with a CGI background replica of a real-life setting chroma keyed in. And I think that's, you say the CGI looks dated, but that's kind of interesting. One of the first movies to ever use CGI.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, that is actually interesting. The specific thing I was referring to is when they roll him up in a ball, and like that you know when they roll Michael Jordan up into a ball and they're like bouncing him.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, but the thing is, like, yeah, at the end of the day, like, obviously you wouldn't really expect the CGI of like the human characters to look photorealistic. And to be honest, yeah, I think actually his incorporation into the world is very well done.
Well, here's something else that's quite interesting. Although Bill Murray initially came in to only work on the golf course scene, he then wanted to be in the climactic basketball game after he was showed the process of how he directed the live action / animation scenes. So yeah, or Pitka did that, and
I get you.
Bill Murray, and Bill Murray saw that. Also, Michael, critics did praise the technical achievement of blending the digitally live action and animation together, particularly from the basketball scenes. Another interesting quote here. This is from Neil Boyle, who was a supervising animator. One thing I heard was that Ivan Reitman, the producer, when they were thinking about going ahead with this movie, had phoned up Robert Zemeckis about Who Framed Roger Rabbit and asked, do you have any advice on what we should do to make a movie like this? And he said, don't do it. It nearly killed me. So that's an interesting quote.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, because obviously with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, well, I mean, also, don't they have, okay, so admittedly the first thing that came into my head was Song of the South, which is obviously kind of a reverse situation in that it's like, that's cartoon characters superimposed onto a onto a live action film. And obviously, you know, like, I mean, I guess that's maybe easier to do, but yeah, like, you'd imagine, like, I guess this is quite an obvious point, but I guess things were lots harder to do before you had computers and the ability to edit things digitally. Because yeah, like, definitely, like, doing something like Who Framed Roger Rabbit would be very difficult if you just got like a load of film and you just got to use like old-fashioned analog effects.
Yes, yeah, no, but overall, I think props to this movie for the stunning technical achievement. If only the plot was as good as the actual technical side, which is, I think, what you could say from a lot of movies nowadays. And yeah, certainly Space Jam may have been one of the first movies in that trend. So now let's talk about Michael Jordan's brand, Michael, because this movie was basically this movie was made to promote Jordan's brand and Nike and everything. So you have the I Believe I Can Fly music at the beginning, sung by R. Kelly. And Nike marketed Jordan as Air Jordan, you know, because Michael Jordan had this incredible ability to leap in the air and dunk. Like, his athleticism was incredible. And basically, you know, I believe I can fly immediately.
Yeah, in the air.
Yeah, in the air, of course. You know, Air Jordan, you know, immediately you have the marketing, you know, from Nike.
Yeah, more like I believe I can buy
yeah, I believe I can buy. I believe I can buy Michael Jordan shoes.
Yeah, if only there was a word that rhymed with I.
What?
You know, like, sorry, I was just saying because like it didn't rhyme. So I was just thinking, like, I wonder if there's like a way to make it rhyme that would work.
I believe I can buy Michael Jordan's Nikes. Kind of rhymes. But yeah, so Jordan, was the biggest superstar on the planet because of the marketing of Nike and his talent of course. And, The Last Dance, which I mentioned before, goes into this. And the Space Jam movie was just fuel to the fire, making him even more of a star. I mean, there are compliments paid to Jordan's shoes by one of the Monstars. It's like, hey, nice shoes. And no doubt his sales of his shoes would have rocketed because this movie was released just before Christmas, November the 15th.
Yeah,
so
they should have had a scene where Bugs Bunny grabs Michael Jordan's shoes and then says, what's up, sock?
That would have been so good if, like, to help the Looney Tunes, Jordan gets them all kitted out in his Jordan shoe, and they suddenly play a lot better. Yeah. Oh my god! Why didn't they do that? And that would have added some time that sounds to
like
the movie.
It's making me think of like an Adam Sandler thing.
Yeah,
like
no. But that's the thing, like they went this far with it. Why not just go a little bit further? And it would have been. Oh god, that would have been really pushing it. Maybe it would have been pushing it.
What about hear me out? Okay, if here's an idea. In order to get their freedom, Michael Jordan has to star in a Dunkin' Donuts commercial.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they do mention Gatorade. I don't know if Gatorade contrasts with Dunkin'. I'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, I think overall the weirdness of the movie overshadows what is essentially a massive commercial for Nike. Like, if the movie wasn't Jordan playing with Bugs Bunny, defeating aliens with a sexy rabbit thrown in, and Bill Murray coming in at the end, and they have to defeat these aliens, taking NBA players' talents, I think it would be viewed with a lot more cynicism. But it's just that it's so crazy, like it's hard to do that. And yeah, there's some interesting stuff in terms of like the corporations. The movie may be making jokes about the fact that it's like a corporate product almost, because obviously this is a product of corporate interests coming together, Nike and Warner Brothers, and there are, I think, some meta moments like Daffy Duck kissing the Warner Brothers logo.
Yes, that moment.
On his like, yeah, there's that, and then there's the line from the assistant Stan who says like, lace up your Nikes, get some Gatorade, and grab a Big Mac, and we'll head to the ballpark. Just again, it's a weird line to have, but maybe the movie or the writers are making fun of the fact like, oh yeah, this is just a giant cash grab for these. Because the thing in that scene, Michael Jordan, he's eating McDonald's in that scene. So yeah, that's interesting, that line. I would like to know the origin of that line, but maybe it was just not like ironic. Maybe they just had him say that line to get those products in, which would be very embarrassing.
Yeah, well, I remember in I believe it's your favorite film, Daddy's Home. They have this like completely out of place, like tonally, like not similar to the rest of the comedy, where it's like a random fourth wall break kind of joke where he just says like, and I really love my new Ford car. It's great for the whole family. Because it starts with Will Ferrell doing his narration at the beginning, and then at the end, when Dusty has been reformed through the power of dance battles, if you remember, he then does his narration at the end. He's like, I used to hate Will Ferrell, but now I like him. And let me tell you, he was right about other things too, like this new Ford car. It's great for the whole family, and it makes me feel really safe. And it's like, it's obviously like a joke, the way they're presenting it, but it's a joke that doesn't, like, the rest of the film is not some kind of like self-aware meta film.
Maybe it's some more lampshading.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. I do think it is lampshading. It's just like they definitely got cut a check to mention the Ford.
How many times have we used this word today? Yeah. Lampshading. But here's the thing, Michael. This movie, it was a lot. It was to help Nike and everything, but it was also perfectly timed for Michael Jordan in real life. So I'm going to give you some basketball history now, Michael.
Okay.
So, Michael Jordan filmed this movie in the summer of 1995. He has just come back from playing basketball and had competed in the NBA playoffs in that spring, but had lost in those playoffs the first time he'd lost in the playoffs since 1990. So basically, the timeline, he retires in 93, he comes back in 1995, but loses in the playoffs. That's when he wore the number 45 for a bit. But basically his excuse, well, I don't know if it's an excuse, but his body basically wasn't ready because he'd been training his muscles for baseball. Basketball muscles require different training, so he wasn't as good as he once was. So that has an effect on him. So basically, he filmed Space Jam that summer, and the next season, Michael, the next season, he wins 72 games and only has 10 losses out of the 82-game season with the Chicago Bulls, setting the record for the most wins in NBA history at the time. 72. Nobody had ever broken 70 before. He gets to 72 with the Chicago Bulls. Only bettered by Golden State Warriors in 2016, who got to 73 wins and 9 losses. They utilized their small ball lineup. But anyway, that was 20 years later. So Jordan has this historic season, wins the MVP, and then in the playoffs blitzes everyone with the Chicago Bulls, and only loses 3 games in the whole playoffs on his way to winning an NBA championship and Finals MVP against a very good Seattle Supersonics team that they beat in the NBA Finals. Very good. That Finals in '96 set the record for most wins in the regular season by 2 teams competing in the Finals. Like Seattle had 64 and of course Chicago had 72. So they're 2 very, very good teams, and they win comfortably. His first win, his first championship after his comeback, he did it in dominating fashion. Just the perfect setup for him because of course, he has all the success. He's undisputedly the best basketball player on the planet, has set a record, the best ever season in NBA history for a basketball team, and then his movie comes out in a few months' time. What do you think of that, Michael?
Wow.
Just absolute perfection.
Yeah, it sounds...
Wouldn't you say?
I mean, yeah, it really sounds like everything came together for him, and I'm proud that, he was able to not just succeed in his filmmaking, but able to, really bring that performance onto the court as well. It really
well,
shows a good job.
Well, I was just... Yeah, but here's the thing, Michael. We're going to contrast that to LeBron James with this new movie coming out, Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Yes.
Because LeBron, I mean, I don't know if he's not going to do so well because of this. I don't know. But LeBron has just come off a season being eliminated in the first round of the playoffs to the Phoenix Suns. Granted, this was because of injuries. As a Laker fan, I can go into detail about how not having Anthony Davis ended the Lakers' chances against a very good Suns team who are in the finals right now. But, it's not good for LeBron James. He did win the championship in 2020, but that was last year. And also it was in the bubble, while the NFL was going on around that time of the year. So not a lot of attention was on it. And the NBA Finals, Michael, this year's NBA Finals are going on right now. And still will be, probably, unless the Suns sweep the Bucks by the time this movie comes out. And maybe that'll drag people's attentions away from Space Jam. I'm not sure, but the perfect year for this movie to come out for LeBron James would have been in 2016, when he matched Jordan in terms of an achievement, in my opinion, for one season, where he defeated the aforementioned 73-win Golden State Warriors team in 7 games, winning a championship for Cleveland, that was the first time in NBA history a team had come back, because it's a best of 7. The Cleveland Cavaliers were down 3-1 against the greatest team in terms of winning, 73 wins in NBA history, and LeBron James managed to come back and win 4-3, and that was the first championship for Cleveland, the first in their history. Imagine Space Jam starring LeBron James coming out after that. Many people would joke it would be too easy for him to face the Monstars since he just beat the 73-win Warrior team.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming out 5 years later, and again, he's just been eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. Jordan timed it beautifully, not so much for LeBron, you have to say. What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously, lightning doesn't strike twice, and who knows? I mean, I genuinely, I'm actually really invested in finding out whether or not this film, has any kind of merits at all, because it seems like, I find it interesting when films are remade after quite a long amount of time just to see what attitude they go into it with. But yeah, who knows? Maybe the fact that he's done badly in basketball will mean that they'll want to make the film very good. Maybe it's this is my logic, yes, because Michael Jordan, he was doing really well, so we don't really need to make the film good because he's already a great basketball player. So yeah.
Well, to be fair, this was filmed in 2019.
Oh, okay, wait, never mind.
This was filmed quite a while ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, never mind. It's going to be shit then.
I don't think they're like, hey, well, you know what, LeBron's doing really well, so we won't put any effort in. I don't think it works like that. But I don't think this new movie's going to be that great anyway. But anyway, also back to this Space Jam, I think it demonstrates just how big Michael Jordan was. A whole movie was made for him, and, it's happening to LeBron now, but, LeBron's only having this because it happens to Jordan first. You could tell in the opening when they played that montage, he was just massive. The record for an NBA Finals game to this day, I believe, is the 1998 Finals. Jordan's Last Dance. That's why the documentary is called The Last Dance. It got 35 million views, I think. Where he hit the shot to win his 6th championship and his 2nd three-peat. Nobody had done it once, 3 championships in a row, and in the modern era. But Jordan did it twice. And that was meant to be his last shot in the NBA, a game-winning shot in Game 6. Just perfect, a movie, a Hollywood ending. Yeah. That was the case with Jordan. That always seemed to be the case until he came out with the Wizards 2 years later. But we won't talk about that.
What a twat.
yeah, no, people were saying that it's like, why did you come back? Your last shot was to win the NBA Finals for a 6th time. Why are you coming back? But he had his reasons, I guess. But yeah, $35 million in comparison to this year's finals between the Phoenix Suns and Dylan's Milwaukee Bucks, which got like $7 million, I think. So like that's a fifth, Michael, a fifth of the amount.
Also, there's more people now, so.
Yeah, but less people do watch TV.
Yeah, that's true.
Less people do watch TV. But yeah, you can see the contrast, like 35 million to 7 million. Like Michael Jordan was massive, man. And yeah, the only thing that comes close to Jordan as a draw for the NBA is the aforementioned Cavs-Warriors 2016 series.
I kind of feel like Jay in episodes of Half in the Bag when Mike starts talking about Star Trek.
But I'm just
like if I could like do an office stare into the camera right now.
Okay, but it's important to just give context to how big he was, especially at this time. Like, you don't realize how big he was. Like, the only thing that can close, like I said, the 2016 series with the Cavs Warriors, where LeBron came back from 3-1 down to defeat that 73-win Warrior team, as mentioned earlier. But yeah, the Warriors didn't win the championship that year. Jordan and the 96 Bulls, they set the win record at the time, and they won the championship. And yeah, nothing comes close to him. And, just talking about the overall legacy, not of Michael Jordan, of this movie, many people reference the Monstars when talking about, like, all-time great teams, particularly I mentioned them again, the 73-win Warriors team, who then went and added Kevin Durant. You've heard of him, Michael, haven't you, Kevin Durant?
Yeah. I don't really know anything about him, so don't ask me.
Well, he's amazing. He might be the second best player in basketball. Imagine setting the wins record for an NBA season and then adding the second best player to your team for the next season. Incredible. That team was ridiculous. Some could even say loony, Michael. But that's the thing. That's who the Monstars got compared to. Like, and that was happening, in 2016, 2017, and even a few days ago in the current NBA Finals, this player Devin Booker for the Phoenix Suns drank a bottle of water that said Book on it, so the first 4 letters of his surname, like Book, and people were commented, "Oh, look, it's Devin's secret stuff." Or Booker's secret stuff instead of Michael's secret stuff, Like, it's, again, referencing a movie that occurred 25 years ago. And again, when a player does really badly in the NBA, people say, oh, it's like they've had their talent taken away by, like, what happened with the Monsters. Like, James Harden in the playoffs, people say that often about him, but particularly against the Spurs in 2017, he had a game where people like, God, it was like he was so bad. I watched that game and I was like, is this guy on drugs? Like, he was so bad and he was one of the best players in the NBA. But people made the joke, and I just mentioned it to reference how everlasting this movie's legacy is. People are like, he's had his talent taken away by the Monstars, making those jokes. So yeah, I think it's important also to recognise, Michael, the legacy that this film has and endures in basketball. Like, even a few days ago with Devin Booker, man, it's crazy. So I think that needs to be mentioned. Anything to say on that?
No, I think you just about covered it. But I guess I will conclude, and this time it would probably make sense to me to conclude, seeing as you were just talking for a while.
Yes, you conclude.
Yeah. So basically, this film, I think. It is entertaining just because it's so weird, and there is something interesting about the concept. It's again, like, I do think it's the kind of film where it's like it's entertaining with kind of like the jokes are a bit silly and there's like a lot going on, but ultimately it's not the kind of thing that you would ever like watch. Like, the thing is, there are children's films which genuinely, like, as an adult, I'd want to watch because I find them genuinely entertaining. I mean, relatively recently, we reviewed Shrek. And Shrek is a film where, I'm not going to claim it's an absolute masterpiece, but I would genuinely be happy to watch it just as an adult because it's a quite funny, quite entertaining, quite engaging film. This isn't that. And with that said, I think I'm just going to give it a low 4, and basically the positive end of it, the thing that stops it being lower than that is the just entertainment value of it being so crazy, and obviously the thing that stops it being higher is the fact that ultimately it's just not a good film in terms of objective quality.
Yeah, I think that's a fair rating. Again, I think ultimately, yeah, it is packed with weirdness. Lola Bunny, Bill Murray, the concept of Michael Jordan playing with the Looney Tunes. The Looney Tunes doing weird shit themselves, like the reason why they're playing the game with the Monstars. Like, it's, it is extremely unusual, the concept. We didn't even talk about, the assistant when he becomes like a fart balloon at the end. Like, again, just fucking crazy and just random, and like everything in this movie. But that's Space Jam, and there is a lot of stuff like that to keep your attention. Like, but that's the thing. Is it a good movie? No, it is not a good movie. Like, it can hold your attention, and you don't like want to switch off because things get so boring. But it is bad. So ultimately, Michael, I think I'm going to put this as a 3.5 out of 10. So 3.5 out of 10 for me for Space Jam. But what are we doing? Sorry. No. Now is the time, Michael,
for receipts.
To predict.
I mean, sorry, not receipts. Yeah, the opposite to receipts.
The opposite to receipts. We're going to predict what we think Space Jam: A New Legacy is going to get on Rotten Tomatoes. So, are you ready, Michael? Are you ready?
Oh shit. Okay, yeah.
Okay, that doesn't.
Sorry, I'm just trying to I didn't really think about it, but yeah, I think I've got a rough idea. Okay.
Okay, so on 3 we'll say it. 3, 2, 1.
53.
62. Oh, okay. So you've gone for 53.
Yes.
I've gone for 62. So let me just type that in there. 53 for you and 62 for me. So that's a difference of 9. Well, I'm banking on my boy LeBron James, of course, plays for the Lakers, to have at least a fresh rating for this movie on Rotten Tomatoes. I got it. You know what? You could be right because the first Space Jam was reviewed was quite bad, and this one, if it just follows the same, God, it could be really awful.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I didn't really say it with much confidence. I just thought, got to pick a number.
Okay, well, anyway, that's we'll see which one of us is closer next time. But anyway, Michael, what are we doing next week?
Well, next week we're looking at Lady in the Water, because I believe it would be the 15-year anniversary.
Yes, and we are doing that because of the new M. Night Shyamalan movie,
yes.
Old, which for some reason has been advertised quite a lot during the NBA Finals, but Space Jam: A New Legacy has not.
Well, that's what yeah.
That's what I've noticed watching the NBA Finals. But yeah, just a great run of movies. Like let's go back to Hamilton, the Fast and Furious movies, Striptease, Space Jam, and Lady in the Water. Just an iconic run we're on right now. So join us for that next week. Thank you for listening. We've been selecting and reflecting on Space Jam. Again, a very weird movie, but also if you get past the weirdness, and you could say it's a cynical cash grab, and it's actually quite bad, all the stuff that obscures it, you push it out the way. Yeah, not so great. But hopefully, will we say the same for Lady in the Water next week?
Yes.
Let's find out. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.